All right, so this is what's working in mobile, and to be followed by lunch. But, and this is a terrific panel again. Some of the speakers here, all of the speakers here, in fact, are really fabulous. How many people here in the room have got some kind of mobile program going? Currently selling or operating a mobile program? How many people are still considering, thinking about where it fits? No? So everybody's pretty much got something going. So each of you guys, tell us who you are and what your companies do, if that's not self-evident, and then we'll get into discussion, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions. Okay, so Tim.
Tim Garcia. I'm VP of Business Development for Moasis Global. It is the originator of the Smart Grid. It gives advertisers of all sizes the ability to pick and choose where they want to advertise and pick their audiences as well. And we're really unifying local data as well as local delivery for our ad platform.
So Dan Hight, I head up our partnerships for xAd, and we're focused on hyperlocal display advertising and in-app mobile search.
Tae Kim, I lead a channel partnerships team at Google, and we're focused on building and managing relationships with companies that serve local SMB advertisers across various segments.
Good afternoon, my name is Michael Rubin, and I work with YP. We're an affiliate of Cerberus Capital Management. We're North America's largest local search and media company. We have 3,000 salespeople, have relationships with 600,000 businesses, and we help connect small businesses with communities so they become successful.
So Michael, I'll put you on the spot a little bit. We didn't talk about this behind in the green room, but IDC just released its report about mobile advertising. Can you speak to that at all? Are you in a position to say anything about that?
All I can say is that with the relationship we have with our advertisers and the revenue that they spend with us, it is attributable to the mobile advertising along with the display advertising they run with us.
Well, okay, so that wasn't a very satisfying answer. Basically, that was like a lawyerly answer. Next question. So the idea is that IDC ranked them in the second or third position after Google in terms of mobile display ad revenue. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a surprise for many people. That fact didn't get a lot of exposure because it wasn't in the press release. But anyway, so this panel, what's working in mobile? Give us your sense of where the action is right now. Where is there success in mobile? There's, everybody's talking mobile, migration of consumer search, migration of, multi-platform the last session, multi-platform behavior. Where are you seeing the most traction, the most efficacy in mobile marketing right now? So just jump in. We don't have a lot of time.
Okay. I think local ads based on inquiry are definitely working. 1.3 billion is being spent on that today.
And what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, compared to mobile display, it's over 700 million.
You're talking about search.
Sorry, search.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Keep going.
Mobile display 700, but 1.3 for mobile search. That seems to be working because consumers think it's more welcoming and receptive to them. In my opinion, mobile display is not working as well as it should be at a 0.6% click-through rate. A lot of room for improvement, but as you get more hyper-local, that click-through rate goes quite a bit higher.
Yeah, and we actually think very differently about, this is very loud I think, about performance on ads. And what's really working are those advertisers that are looking beyond the click. And click-through rates, for the most part, there's the fat finger concept in mobile, and you have to look at what's happening after that. And brands that are focused on driving local actions, those being phone calls or driving directions, are the two biggest things that consumers want to do in the local space. That's working really well. Those advertisers that are focused on those offline type of conversions works really well. Obviously, yellow page companies are very prime for that, and we see that working very well when you're complementing the hyperlocal targeting along with the creative that speaks to a local audience and measuring the offline conversions.
Yeah, I think from Google's perspective, one thing that we've seen is that when you look at mobile as a separate strategy, there's benefit to be had there, but I think the new direction, I think, is really kind of looking mobile as part and parcel of a broader, as a kind of a holistic strategy in marketing, as opposed to a standalone kind of strategy that you have on the side that you kind of look after you address the desktop with a tablet marketing strategy. So really on a high level, looking at mobile as a consolidated solution as far as SEM goes, as opposed to a standalone. And then more specifically, I think, really kind of looking at the features within mobile advertising. So for example, mobile ad extensions are what I call the low-hanging fruit of mobile ads. And I think when
What
leveraged...
are mobile ad extensions?
Sure, I'll go into a little bit more detail there. So for example, if you have a mobile ad and you sense that a query is coming in from a mobile phone, you can say, hey, that phone actually can make a call, so why don't I use a mobile ad extension, the call extensions ad extension, and really kind of let people not only find you, but also call you. And if you can also kind of take this one step further and say, okay, a location extension does that, but also lets them find you on a map. And so giving people that ability to use the phone, not only as a way to find you, but also as a way to call you and find you physically, I think that's also something that's been working really well.
Okay, so those are features that exist within Google AdWords for mobile advertisers. It's automated inclusion of location or phone information. Maybe not everybody knew that. I had a guy who is a marketer say to me that only prior to the announcement or advent of enhanced campaigns, I had a guy say that only 5%, whether this is a real number or not, I don't know, only 5% of mobile marketers were taking advantage of location and phone extensions. You probably can't confirm or deny that.
I can confirm that it's a lot lower than we want it to be because it's, as I said, it's really easy to do this, and the dividends that pay off as a result of doing it well are huge. And so, so I can confirm that we would love mobile advertisers to use this more often, in particular our partners as well. When we meet with our partner companies, many of whom are in the room, I think we also say that mobile ad extensions are huge, and they agree after they run them. They see the effect that it has, and it's been great. So
Michael, are you guys hearing me? Am I fading in and out?
so,
You can't,
Hear me okay?
no,
You're off. Sign it.
How about those Yankees?
Yeah. I'm going to have to go over to the podium.
There we go.
There we go. So this way I was going to start moonwalking back and forth. All right, I'm going to go over to the podium. Hopefully it won't. A sound behind me. I'm walking toward the podium. I don't want horrible feedback, if at all possible. Okay. Turn off the lavalier now. Switching to the mic on the podium. Working? Okay, now it is. Great. Okay, so Michael, you are a publisher, and you are selling or not selling mobile marketing, mobile distribution, mobile syndication, as the case may be. What are you guys selling to small business advertisers or enterprises, as the case may be, and where are you having success? I mean, we cited this big mobile ad revenue that's attributed to mobile. So talk a little bit about that. Unpack that a little bit.
So first off, we are selling mobile advertising, and we have advertisers who buy mobile advertising. And what's working for them and how they're using it and incorporating that into their print and online and mobile is through search and display. So it's on YP Mobile itself right now, 40% of our clicks and calls are now derived from what we're doing in mobile, web, as well as our mobile applications.
Okay, so that's a tweetable number. 40% of all clicks and calls are coming from mobile.
Exactly. And it's working. It's helping generate leads for these advertisers, and it also validates in terms of what the position in mobile is for them.
So how many people know that they are getting mobile distribution from among your advertisers? How many people are specifically saying, I'm buying a mobile syndication product or mobile distribution or mobile search? Or is it the case that you distribute them in mobile as another source of leads?
Yeah, so it's a combination of both. They are distributed as a source of leads, and then a subset of all of our advertising revenue is derived from advertisers specifically saying, I want mobile search, I want mobile display, I want my ads interspersed within your free listings on our owned and operated as well as the network of publishers we work with.
And Dan, do you have any perspective on what percentage of your publishers, the publishers using xAd to deliver traffic, are selling a mobile ad product to their advertisers that the advertisers understand versus using mobile as a source of leads additional to the PC?
I would say for the vast majority of the resellers that we work with, it's part of distribution. They're not selling a discrete mobile product, namely because they don't want to start product selling everything, and they're bundling it in with different solutions that are selling, and it's added distribution for calls and other local activity that each reseller is interested in doing, but very few are selling it as a standalone mobile product today.
Okay, so we've got much more mobile display inventory than we do have mobile search inventory. And right now you guys had sort of agreed, or some of you had agreed, that mobile search was very effective and maybe mobile display not as much. Why is mobile display, beyond the push versus pull phenomenon, what needs to happen to make mobile display a more effective vehicle for mobile marketing or advertising?
I think two things are paramount is their publishers need to actually pass a better quality of location, because we work with all of our partners and all the publishers we work with, and there's varying degrees of real precise location through GPS or lat long or zip code or DMA that's being passed. So that's one barrier that I think that's contributing to not the level of success that can happen in display. And then the other thing is publishers have available keyword targeting. They have contextual content targeting that they can pass. If they do a better job of that, that will help with mobile display and the advertising too.
And we actually challenge the notion that you can't get performance from display. We actually are working at scale with many of our resellers and actually advertisers directly in driving search-like performance from display.
What does that mean?
So getting the same from a call perspective, that's what most of the resellers today understand, that's what a lot of advertisers understand, getting the same either click-to-call pricing from search and display, or measured on an actual call based on duration. So an example of that, we're working with a very large insurance company, and their success criteria is a $35 cost per call. We're able to achieve that both in search and display at the tune of, seven-figure budgets. That's good.
So one more question on the publisher, the world of publishers here. In the broader world of mobile, we're hearing more and more location-oriented traffic, location intent traffic is migrating to mobile. What percentage of the budget ultimately, or the revenue base, do you think is going to come out of mobile? You're saying 40% of your clicks and calls, but certainly not 40% of your revenue.
No.
So where are we in a couple of years, 3 years, in terms of the distribution of revenue? Does mobile represent a chunk commensurate with consumer usage, or is it still lagging? So anybody can answer that.
We think it's still lagging. We think it'll lag in different areas. National advertisers, we're thinking it'll probably be in, say, 3 years, somewhere between 7 and 10% of their marketing budgets allocated to mobile in some form or fashion. For SMBs, it'll probably be significantly less than that, as they're sold more in, again, bundled packages and not as standalone products. It'll probably be in the lower single digits than it will be the upper single digits like national ads.
Yeah, from our perspective, again, without commenting on specific numbers or metrics here, I think obviously it's in various segments and in some cases national advertisers. I think you're seeing a slower uptick on mobile than you would and than we would like to, obviously, given the opportunity. And so, to answer your question, Greg, the next 2 years, I see mobile and kind of context-aware mobile advertising really being a key component of marketing strategy for advertisers.
Okay, so Tim, you're being shy. I want you to talk, even when you feel like you have nothing coherent to say. Please continue. Please talk.
Yeah, I think from the SMB side, their budgets for either like a direct mail that they're so used to right now. It's all about education for the SMB. So their budgets right now for their entire operating expense for something like a direct mail is 2 to 5%. So if you can convert that over to mobile somehow and have them see the realization that search and display both are very effective, and that's where consumers are going. So I think education to the SMB is very important.
Well, so do you think that the world of the immediate future is one in which those advertisers or marketers seeking local consumers are really the sophisticated agencies and national brands, and for the small business, it's really just sort of thrown in behind the scenes, and they don't buy it, they don't know about it, they just get the calls, they see the clicks on some dashboard, but they really don't actively buy it. It's just a lead source, and that all the sort of location targeted advertising that we're going to see in mobile or marketing is really going to be driven by these multi-location businesses or national brands such as retailers trying to get people into stores. What's your thought about that? The sort of immediate future, 3 years, 5 years?
Local advertisers now are asking for mobile.
They are asking
They
for
are
it.
asking for mobile, and they're getting it too. And the better job we can do in delivering a very qualified user within the proximity of that store will help just reinforce and validate kind of the value that mobile can bring to these small advertisers. In the short term, definitely national advertisers with retail, multiple locations will dominate. But we firmly believe that local SMBs will be a part of it.
So give us a really super concrete example of that. Do you have one that you can, some local advertiser or category that you're seeing there, the grassroots demand?
Sure. Yeah, we have a product called DSL, Display Search Local product. And what it does, it enables a local advertiser to, through this ad unit, advertise their multiple locations. And within that, it brings up their proximity on a map. It enables them to use social networking and couponing to actually advertise their business. So that's happening right now. Advertisers are buying this kind of custom ad unit.
On the point of, Danny, do you want to say
Yeah, I
something?
was going to say that even there's, I think, a little bit of a misnomer dealing with the national advertisers. The agencies and national advertisers we think are the most sophisticated. In many cases, they're not the most sophisticated, and they're looking at whatever they did in desktop, putting it on mobile, and calling it mobile strategy. You're starting to see some changes in that, but you have a lot of agencies that are working with national advertisers, some in this room, some in New York, some search agencies. Everybody's vying for those mobile dollars, and everyone's trying to figure out what is the right solution, and they're going for broad reach. They're not really thinking about how do I speak to my local consumer, because most of the agencies are not really well-versed in how to speak to local audiences. They're about more broad reach than they are about local reach. So we see that there's a big shift that will happen over the next 2 to 3 years as the agencies are asked to do more from a local perspective.
Yeah, their tactics seem to be very isolated right now. There's no strategy, it's more isolation on just tactics. Check the box and move on a little bit. They have one guy looking over all mobile at an agency, and there needs to be more of the strategy within the company. Well,
I mean, you guys mentioned it. We're seeing a sort of a duplication of search and display strategies ported over to mobile devices. In some cases with some real creativity, in other cases not. And in Google's case, you've got these automated, and others are doing something similar, dynamic insertion of location or phone information. But it's really not much different than what exists on the PC. And enhanced campaigns really is an effort to sort of merge or combine those things for simplification in some sense. Give us a sense of, Dan, you were talking about like mobile ad creative and different sorts of ads. We know that these devices have enormous capabilities. What are we likely to see in the near term that's going to be really interesting or different or dramatic? Like, give us some examples of stuff that you're doing with your clients, the conquesting stuff, or things that are different than what we see on the PC and not just ported over into a mobile environment.
Sure. So there's a couple different things that you can do, and where we think things will move towards in a relatively short.
Give us some real
future.
examples first.
So a real example of this is, take keyword bidding on Google, for instance. It's whether it's frowned upon, illegal, trademark infringement, whatever. Generally, a practice where competitors do not bid on their competitors' brand terms. In location, nobody really owns the location, the physical area around a location. So the aspect of being able to conquest, if you will, somebody's location. So case in point is we worked with a large auto manufacturer that owns several dealerships in the southeast of the eastern part of the United States, and they wanted to run, obviously, ad campaigns for their dealerships. And we went to them and said, well, we know where all your competitor dealerships are as well. And when people are buying a car, they tend to be on their phones a lot while they're waiting either for a salesperson or the finance manager. And imagine we could run an ad when we know somebody is in. If it's a Ford dealership, target a Chevrolet dealership. We know somebody's there, run an ad for the new Ford F1 pickup truck, and you can target that in somebody in a Chevrolet dealership. So being able to use location conquesting capabilities To Michael's point, having more publishers that are passing accurate location information is critical.
And what do those ads look like?
Scale.
What are those ads? What is the content of those ads?
So today, it's really, unfortunately, it's pretty weak because the ad creatives overall in mobile are 300 and 320 by 50 ad units for the most part. Not a lot that you can put in there, but if you know somebody is in a Chevrolet dealership, the messaging that you can do of, thinking about a Chevy, have you come, drive the new Ford F-150 pickup truck, for instance. Or if you know your target demographic audience is more likely to be a car versus a truck, being able to serve them with the right messaging based on different areas.
And are you capturing any kind of metrics on those, your calls, map lookups, anything?
Yeah, so unfortunately, when you get to a lot of the agencies, and this is where the agencies still have to progress to, unfortunately, where a lot of the yellow page companies have figured it out for a long time about the offline conversions. Most of the traditional agencies, if it doesn't take place online, they don't think it really takes place. And so we get very little insight to how agency programs are working because they want to link to their mobile website, and we lose all transparency thereafter of what's happened to it. When we host the page, we're able to see what those activities are, and we're able to see that. And we're actually getting a lot of agencies that want those insights.
And Tae, Google is trying to broaden out the sense of what's a conversion, more actions, more events in educating the marketplace. Can you say something about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I can speak to that in addition to kind of give a little bit more context on enhanced campaigns that Greg mentioned. So, on a high level, when you look at devices, like when you look at your smartphone, these things are getting bigger. Like this thing's pretty big, and tablets are getting smaller, right? And so you got these like ridiculous-looking phones that people are talking on that look like tablets, and you got tablets that could be phones. You got tablets that plug into keyboards. And so the point of all of this is that the lines are blurring between all these devices. And so really kind of trying to target, hey, desktop versus a tablet versus mobile. I think there is value in that, but I think it comes with added complexity. And that's, I think, one of the key barriers that kind of exists when you look at SMB, local SMB advertisers, and even our partner companies, when we ask them to kind of invest further in mobile. And so what Enhanced Campaigns really does is it really addresses that complexity issue and says, okay, you have these three devices. Yes, the device is important, but what's also important when you look at context, context used to be just location. And I think the way that Google is looking at it now is context is also location, but time of day of week, the hours that you're open. And I think bringing all of that together in a coherent package that's really, really easy to manage, I think that's really what's behind Enhanced Campaigns. So.
Yeah, but we challenge that a little bit because when you look at certainly the devices, there's certainly convergence in the devices, but it's more about when people are using it and the right types of ads to serve when and where based on bandwidth capabilities, whether somebody's leaning back on their couch or they're walking down the street. The types of ads that you present are very, very important, whether it's on a tablet, let's call it, versus a desktop. The experience is going to be very different based on the use of where it is, regardless of the device.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that, and I think the managing campaigns and kind of the creatives behind the different campaigns on different devices, that's also a pain point, which Dan rightfully pointed out. And I think again, one of the things that Google is trying to do is really kind of make that simple so that if we realize that this query is coming from a phone, so as I said, we know that the phone can make calls, and we know that it has a GPS tracker on it. So we're automatically going to serve a call and location extension. So things like that should happen automatically. It should not be a manual check in the box that you should have to do. So that's kind of really the direction that Google's going in.
Well, in the case of YP, like the cost per call is pretty much an auction-based model. And so the advertisers themselves are bidding on those calls. And the market itself is really determining kind of what that price is for mobile. I mean, it can be as low as $2 based on a qualified call up to $30, $40.
There's a lot of industry research out there. A lot of it's an engaged conversation with your customer. What does a customer work to them? How many conversions, from a call do they make, or from a click do they make to get to what a cost per acquisition looks like, and backing into some numbers. But there's a lot of industry research out there.
The broad message here is that there's a lot of variabilities and a lot of factors that go into CPC for a given geo or a vertical. And so really it's a case by case. So yeah, one other point that I'll point out is that I think mobile doesn't have an efficacy or a conversion perception issue. I think it has a measurability issue, right? And so I think a lot of the questions from people saying, hey, why should I do mobile, or I'm doing mobile, why should I invest more in that? I think it's because they're not really able to kind of conceptualize or grasp or even see the ROI that they're getting from mobile. And so, and I know that the gentlemen on this panel their companies are doing a lot around this. Google in particular, we launched an initiative called the Full Value of Mobile, which kind of lets you see the path to conversion. It gives you case studies. And if you just Google full value of mobile, it's right there.
Yeah, I would say from the publisher side, if you're really doing some investigation on what kind of platforms are out there, you really want to see if are there platforms that you can use and license that are maybe a closed ecosystem with the opportunity to have, I guess, a reach in other ecosystems. Are you having the reporting that you need for metrics coming back to you? Do you control the targeting, and do you enable the SMB to control the targeting with you? Are you helping them out for their campaigns as well? So I think that's really exciting for me for a publisher side.
So for agencies, if you're not doing it, start doing it, because your advertisers are asking about it, either discreetly or indirectly. They're asking people about mobile and they want to do it. I would say that for national advertisers and the national agencies, there's a window of opportunity of different agencies representing different budgets going after them. Understanding offline conversion, since the majority of mobile today, the conversion factor actually is somebody making a phone call or walking into a location. A lot of the traditional agencies don't understand the offline world, so there's a unique opportunity to capitalize on that for a short window, I think. Yeah, my piece of advice would be 3 words: simplify your strategy. Mobile does not have to be just another thing that you have to worry about in terms of your marketing campaign. I think if it's part and parcel, again, as I said, to your overall strategy, that's really the way to go. And I think enhanced campaigns is one way to do that, and I think the solutions offered by everyone else on this panel also, I think, is going that direction. So simplify your strategy.
Okay, Michael Rubin, you get the last word.
I would say, as an agency, just challenge the networks, challenge and ensure that what you're buying, you're able to track. Conversions are there, they are available, you can get a sense of ROI, and make sure that you're getting that from the people that you work with.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for your patience.